G'day ladies and gents, and welcome back to War Thunder. It's about time that I put a Spitfire video up on the channel, and that is exactly what we're going to have today. Yes, that's right. Yes, an actual Spitfire video. Can you believe it? It's a miracle. This is the Spitfire Mark IIA, and for those of you who don't know the difference between a Spitfire Mark IA and a Spitfire Mark IIA, it's in War Thunder, it's nothing. It's literally nothing in War Thunder that is of any importance. They literally added a bit of armor plating to, I believe, behind the pilot or on the cockpit glass. And, to compensate for that, they gave it a different prop, and they also added a better radio. Yeah, amazing. It's literally the same plane. Functionally, and honestly, in War Thunder, armored glass doesn't really make a difference unless it's something like 200 millimeters thick or will stop 50 cals. The armored glass just not worth it. In real life, though, it'll potentially save a pilot, and I can understand why it would be added. But in War Thunder, it doesn't really do anything. Now, you might have noticed that I've put some RAAF roundels on the back on the empennage of the plane. And that is from a long time ago, something like 2014 or 2015, when I first started really playing War Thunder. Yes, I have not taken these decals off in almost 5 years. Why? I have no idea, and I really don't care. This plane is one of the first real planes that I absolutely got into War Thunder with. I used to play this thing in arcade, I had a blast, I probably did really poorly, and I probably played it a decent amount. That being like 30 games probably, who knows, and really, who cares? The Spitfire is really, obviously, as the in-game name that I've chosen states, it's probably one of the most good-looking planes that has ever graced the skies. And, I'm probably right there. I'm probably right. Every time I see one of these things, either in a museum, or a radio-controlled model, or some sort of scale model, or flying in a video, in a game, doesn't matter. The sound of the engine, regardless of which game it's from, or whether it's, an electric motor, or the actual Merlin engine, it just adds a bit of atmosphere to the gorgeous looking and graceful plane that the Spitfire really is. It's just such a great plane to handle, even in games. And obviously, depending on the RC model, for those of you who don't know, I actually have done a bit of RC flying. And realistically, depending on who makes the model or whether it's a scratch build or what other bells and whistles you've put in it, it can be pretty amazing, to say the least. And the Spitfire in War Thunder is nothing short of that, to be honest. It is still gorgeous, it is still graceful, and it is still one of the best planes in the game. A lot of people, when they first unlock the Spitfire, they start having a bit of trouble playing this thing. And you know what? I can understand. The guns aren't that great. The energy retention is not that great, and it's a slow plane. It also overheats more than the Bf 109 G2, and more than the Bearcat, which is a lot. It really likes to overheat. So what you've got to do is you've got to keep it at 96 to 100% throttle, and only use the weapon when you really need it, which kind of sucks, to be honest, because you're missing that extra horsepower that you could otherwise get. Planes like the Bf 109E tend to be really good for that, and the Spitfire will face the Bf 109E really often because it's basically the same battle rating. The Spitfire itself, though, is really let down when it comes to its guns. It has 30 caliber machine guns, or 303s, or whatever you want to call them. The guns are not great for long range. They pretty much fall off at about 600 meters. You don't really want to use them beyond that. And you also don't want to be caught in a situation where you have multiple targets to shoot you down. Not necessarily to shoot at, because in a case where you do but have an energy advantage, then you're okay. But even though the Spitfire is a turn fighter, getting that altitude allows you to pick your fights. And when I can pick my fights, I have a better chance of winning. And that goes for everyone as well. You can see this LA5 here. Looks like he might be going for that bomber up there. I might decide to pursue him because I have a good climb rate. But I also really want to get some nice, simple kills. If he's stalling out in front of me, then it's very easy. If he's slow, then it's very easy. So what I want to do is get above him and force him to either dive or turn. And then if he dives, he'll be food for my teammates. And if he turns, he'll be food for me. He's deciding to do a little bit of both, which is a bit of a Monka-esque situation right there. He's turning, and then he's going vertical. So he's got absolutely no energy left. I've built it all up, and I'm putting my flaps to use, giving me really good low altitude or low speed turning, and I'm able to get on the inside of him pretty quickly and make some pretty solid crits. That's a write-off right there. That's pretty much it for that LA5. There's not a whole lot that he can do anymore. He can try and maybe go for the vertical on me. It's not really going to work out because I'm a Spitfire. And now that he's playing to my strengths, I can really have my way. You can see that I'm just going vertical. I'm keeping my wings as I guess at a right angle as possible. And that's just to throw him off, to make sure that he's not going to get a shot on me. And sure enough, he goes down to the deck where he may or may not potentially meet his demise. That's all that I care about. He's out of my hair, and I can deal with this other LA5 that's coming into play. Now, if you look at the team list quite quickly, you'll see that, yeah, we're struggling. We're down 2, if you didn't notice that the team kill and crash happened. That's really frustrating, but we have bigger problems to worry about because you can see there that I almost get jumped by a P39. No, it's a P63. And the P39 comes from down below, but he's nice and baited by the Spitfire, and I managed to get a pretty quick and easy crit on him. I go up for the vertical, I rip a flap, and that's a pretty big sad there. But it could have been a bigger sad with that green Spitfire, or my auto squad mate, I guess, coming in really close and almost taking me out. That was really sketchy, and I almost quite, got myself another Spitfire in my Spitfire. That would have been pretty nasty and pretty unfortunate. But that's left us with a pretty hairy situation, to say the least. Have a look at the team list, and you'll see exactly what I mean. The P63, the P39, and the LA5 from earlier have all dived to the deck, and it's about time that the LA5 that I engaged first to hit the ground, and I believe he gets shot down. I can't remember. I don't really care. He's out of my hair, and that's all I care about. Actually, you can see him there in the distance. Wow. Well done, me. I can see an LA5 ahead of me as well, and that's an LA5F. That's a pretty strong and a well-turning aircraft, as well as that P63 there, who has the potential to come up and pretty much smack me in the face with that 37, but he's run out of airspeed, and now he's got to go down because the Spitfire on my team has managed to intercept him. And this gives me a really easy tail control strike at close range with those 303s. I decide to go vertical again, and the LA5F turns to engage the friendly Spitfire, but he puts himself into a really nice profile shot for me. Easy kills. This is what good teamwork and synergy looks like. And this is a random player who is, I think, level 8 or something like that. Really impressive show from this guy who's, not committing to head-ons. He's not doing anything stupid. Maybe he's a professional pilot or he works in the Air Force, or does some cool stuff like that. Regardless, I managed to get myself a nice quick kill on an IL-2. And that IL-2 has progressively been draining our tickets, so I need to take that guy out. I also need to get rid of this P39K. You can see I'm wiggling my wings to try and throw his aim off to get him to bleed more energy so that my teammates down below can deal with him pretty easily. And you can see now that he is having to play to our strengths. He can't run away from that F4F. He can't turn with us, but he's blown all his energy. And so he really doesn't have a whole lot that he can do. Of course, he's not getting away from us anytime soon. So he decides a last-ditch effort and banks to the right. Pretty fatal move right here. That is literally the thing that killed him. You can see now I'm on his tail. The Spitfire's on his tail. He's really close. So I just let the Spitfire sort of take the kill. I can see lots of traces, some of them coming from the Hellcat or the Wildcat. And really nice, easy kill. Well, for the Spitfire at least. For me, I get a couple of shots in, and I figured that I could get the assist, and maybe that would boost my SL or something like that. But I'm low on ammo, so I go back to base, rearm. Now it's starting to get a little bit hairy. I've got a situation where I'm looking to fight off the last few guys. I've got myself a few assists. I've got myself 4 kills. I really want to make this an ace so I can put it up on the channel and show you guys, because at low tier, I reckon a higher kill count is more entertaining. You can see in the right-hand corner of the screen, the IL-2 is starting to take out the ground targets, and that's really bad. That is extremely bad news for us, because we're starting to get to a point where every ground target is going to count. There's no two ways about it. If we lose this to ground targets, I'm going to be upset. And so what I'm doing now is ignoring my altitude advantage, and I'm just making a mad dash for the center of the map, because I know the IL-2 is going to be there. I know I'm going to have the speed and potentially the altitude to deal with the IL-2. And anything that comes along, well, I'm just going to have to rely on my teammates, especially if it outturns me. What I want to be able to do is get above them so that I can force my advantage. But in an IL-2, the only advantage they really have is a head-on and a rear gunner. So IL-2 needs to die, and it needs to die fast, because we're going to lose to tickets at this rate. I really don't want to lose to tickets. It's always frustrating, and it's one of those things that, it's something that we should have dealt with earlier, but because you have to climb, etc., it's a little bit hard to actually deal with when there are 4 or 5 coordinated ground attack aircraft. So they've given their team a pretty solid advantage, but we have the numbers, and that is the important thing. War Thunder is a numbers game. If you have more vehicles than the enemy team, you have a much better chance at winning, because you can simply stack 2 together, and a 2 versus 1 is a lot easier to win than a 1 versus 1. So the more you have, the more you can stack up on different opponents. So, for example, if I have a 3 versus 2 like I do now, and all 3 of us dogpile a single IL-2, there's a very strong chance that we're going to kill him, and that he's not going to get away. Whereas if just one of us went for the IL-2, then maybe there's a higher chance that the IL-2 will get away, or, kill the guy going after it. I see this a lot with a couple of people dogpiling onto fighters or bombers, for example. I don't think this is a great idea when it comes to bombers. If you're going to dogpile a bomber, I would only suggest dogpiling him if it's a really strong bomber, like a Heinkel 177 or a B-29 or a Tu-4, or if you know that that player is going to climb to space, like Helmet Potato. Yes, that actually was a thing. There was a guy called Helmet Potato. He would fly his IL-28, drop his bombs on the bridge on Korea, and then climb to 12,000 meters over his airfield. And he would sit there all game. Yes, I'm not kidding. He eventually got banned and came back with the username Yak Lives Matter. Yes, that's a real story. But the IL-2M is closing in fast, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my plane into the vertical, which will bait for the Spitfire. Sure, that doesn't quite give me the ace potential, but the Spitfire goes below the IL-2M and causes the IL-2 to turn in front of my guns, leaving me with a nice crit. Am I going to get the ace? It's looking very good. It's actually looking good. I get some hits, and you can see in the bottom right-hand corner of the screen, I get a couple more crits, and nothing really major. I get really close. I don't want to engage that back gunner, and the Spitfire comes in, wrecks the engine, and takes off the wing. So, no aceroo for me. Not yet, anyway. But now, something even better has popped up. Well, not really better, because I really want that ace, but in order to win the game, we're going to need the tickets. So what I tell the Spitfire to do is I tell him to go and take those ground targets out, and I'll take the other two. Why? Because he's closer, obviously. I don't care for ground targets, but I really want to win this, and I don't trust him to take out two in the time that I could take out one. I could take out more. I really just trust myself here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go get these things, and hopefully the ticket advantage will sway into our favor. It's starting to get a little bit desperate. I'm really, really starting to desire this win. I want to get that win. I really don't want to lose. And so these little ground units tend to pop up, I believe, at about the 39-minute mark. And once 39 minutes of... once... 20 minutes have elapsed, 21, 9 plus 10, have elapsed, you get these little targets. And what they do is they reduce tickets when you kill the bunch. So you can see they're in 3 little bunches. If I manage to kill every single vehicle in that bunch, then they lose some tickets. Is it going to be enough to sway up the victory, though? It's going to be really, really close. And the advantage that the IL-2s at the beginning of the match actually gave to the enemy team here is really, really strong. And it's not looking like it's going to give us a massive advantage. Sure, it'll close the gap a little bit, but it's really not going to do a whole lot. And it's starting to worry me. What if this guy camps his airfield the whole game and decides, you know what, I'm going to win this, and you're not going to get your ace? I'm going to be upsetty spaghetti if that happens. And, obviously it didn't, but there's real potential for that. These vehicles, when they were first introduced to the game, they were actually really, really good. You could practically win an entire match. You could drain something like half the tickets, as in half the entire bar of the tickets. And that was really, really good, because you'd have a space climbing bomber who, him and his 4-man squad of B-29s would, get the advantage. They would destroy all 3 bases. They would take out a couple of fighters. They would waste a whole lot of time. And these guys would pop up, or these vehicles, and you would just win the match, because they would be camping in space, and you would be in your stock Tempest Mark V. No way of getting up to that B-29 in time. And that was your only way to win. No ordnance, only vehicles. And that gave you just enough of an advantage to win. I think it could be buffed just a tiny bit, but that's okay. The I-16 is on its way. Yes, it's an I-16. I'm guessing it's going to be the Type 27, which is the one with cannons. So that's pretty scary. I really don't want to have to head on this guy. And the Spitfire is looking for some backup. I tell him I'm coming. I tell him to hold on. And the I-16 is now in a dogfight with the Spitfire. Eventually, he will win, because the I-16 is pretty much designed to keep up with, if I remember correctly, the Japanese fighters. But he fumbles a little bit, hesitates a bit, and ends up crashing into the ground after I critical him. There's my ace in the Spitfire. One of the greatest planes that I've ever flown in War Thunder, simply because of the nostalgia factor. And the fact that it is, one, such an iconic plane, and 2, very well balanced and a decent all-around fighter. It is a really good plane, and I'm absolutely glad to be flying it again. 5 kills, 3 assists, and look at those awards. That is absolutely ridiculous. I don't remember getting this many awards in a long, long fucking time. Look at that. That is crazy. And a hell of a lot of silver lions to boot. It's great. Anyway, ladies and gents, thank you very much for watching. Take care, and I'll catch you next time.